All right. So we're getting really going into the second day of Astromagia, and we're joined right now by Sonal Sachdeva. Sonal, thank you so much for being part of the conference this year.
Yeah, you're welcome. Very, very welcome. And thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Good, good. As you know, and some others might know, I'm very keen to have more of a I think cross-pollination is the wrong expression at this point, because it's not really so much like East and West and we need to mix or something. But at the same time, we know that the astrological tradition is vast and also worldwide and brings in so many things that are so powerfully particular to the places in which it has taken root. And I think you were amazing to step in to kind of help us to bring more Jyotish ideas into the conference this year. And your topic was very much aligned with some of the basic ideas that we were wanting to play with, which was about the power of how we think about language and how we work with it. And I think that what you decided to offer is a remarkable practical addition to that people will be able to do something with. So again, thank you for being part of it. And for those that have not met Sonal before, Sonal is a certified Vedic Jyotish Pandita and holds a diploma from the Liz Green School of the Center of Psychological Astrology and an ongoing student of Vedic scriptures. Her learning of the Vedic astrology began under the tutelage of the celebrated Indian astrologer Pandit Sanjay Rath and Vedic learning through Swaminiji. Can you say his former name for me?
Swaminiji Brahma Pragnana Ananda.
Thank you so much. And also, I've had a little bit of time to interact with your divinations
Yes.
conference,
Yeah.
and I'm going to share the link to your website there where people
Yeah.
can connect with you. But I think it's remarkable again to have you here, and I'll let you get going with what you prepared today.
Okay, lovely. Thank you ever so much, JD, and absolutely a pleasure for this wonderful astromagia. I think this is really relevant and important because it connects on so many levels the knowledge and whether it's Eastern or Western. And I think there has to be some kind of platform for having a real formal dialogue, where we can share because there's so much about, and as you all know, the Indian traditions, the tantric traditions are extremely relevant even today. Like, I come from a country of like, oh my God, I don't even want to get into the numbers. But in terms of the general atmosphere, or among even now the younger generation, you can see the Gen Z and all of them. It's almost like a renaissance of awakening in terms of astrology, Vedic Jyotish, you can say it, or you can say even Western astrology and tarot and all the thing. Maybe because in the country where I was born, it is really easy to access because Tantra, as we all know, may be familiar with this name, we are already familiar, we have grown up with it, so we are we know already since childhood so much of it. So in a way it's part and parcel of our everyday living, so we don't have to really actually go to a community to seek it. So, but then the task is even more difficult because the learning can be very muddied. And my attempt has always been on authenticity of the traditions, whichever tradition I follow. So anyway, sorry, I don't mean to, oops, let me move forward. So let me first begin with a prayer, the Ganesh mantra. We just had the Ganesh Chaturthi, that is the birthday of Lord Ganesh, and we are all familiar with the Ganesh, and what it symbolizes. So, Gananam tva Ganapatigum Havamahe Kavin Kavinamupamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspatanav Shunvannotibisi Sadanam Prano Devi Saraswati Vajevir Dhinama Vitrayavatu Ganeshaya Namah Saraswatyai Namah Shri Gurubhyo Namah Hari Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, we are all familiar with the fundamental primordial sound Om. Okay, and it is the origin of all the knowledge base which has been in India, and it is said, of this is from the Chandogya Upanishad, that anyone who knows this Om, so on the surface it looks like, it's Om is the sort of like a bija sound, bija meaning it cannot be broken down any further. But this sound is very complex. The symbol of Om is, each of these have a meaning to it. The bindu, which is the circle, and the circle which is enclosed in like a cup-like shape, and the matra, that is the oo sound, and the whole thing has got huge significance. And anyone, it is said, who worships the Om and can attain fearlessness and immortality, which is the Akshara or Swara. Akshara in Sanskrit, I will be using every single sound and everything is derived from Sanskrit or Sanskritam, which is one of the oldest languages on the planet. That is uncontested. And also, it is, in my view, I learned it in school, and of course, didn't pay too much attention to it, but then, regretted. I should have done more work. And my mother is a Sanskrit scholar, so it was a bit like an embarrassment for her as well. So, you see, the thing about Sanskrit is that the accessibility to the tantric remedies or any kind of tantra or mantra chant is very easy for anyone. So all they have to do is pronounce the sounds, the bija sounds properly, the akshara or the swara, as swara is nothing but like the actual letter or the sound, the letter, the alphabet, whatever you can call it, So that makes it easier to access if it is done properly. So hence the importance of Sanskrit, because it is the language of the gods and the goddesses. I'm going to just go a little bit into the theory, and then you will understand a little bit better where I'm coming from. And then maybe we can kind of play around with some kind of live examples and things like that. And even from people from your, within, as in within your, friends or whatever you may want to ask on that. So, the beginnings of the universe, this is all a very much the Vedic view. This is coming from Vayu Puran, that the Brahman, the divine essence alone is everywhere. The Brahman had neither color nor scent. It could not be felt or touched. It had no origin, no beginning or the end. The Brahman was constant, and that, it says, is the origin of the universe, which is complete darkness. Now, this could be kind of similar to the entire the Big Bang theory or the big black hole, and there are indeed similarities to that worldview. And you could also say that the Vedic view actually was given to by the sages and the ancients, and they did not, as we will see further, that they did not write anything for thousands and thousands of years. And that is also the reason why Sanskrit has survived, because it is the only language which is very, very old, no doubt, and it has survived because it is a very phonetic language. That is, as you see the letter in Sanskrit is how it sounds. So I will give you, as we go along, I will give you many more examples, okay? Now, I mentioned about the Om symbol or the sound, but it is a very complex one because it is full of latent creative energy, the Om, and it has an impulse. It is like the nothingness. It's called the Shunyata. Shunyata in Sanskrit literally means nothing, zero. And we know that the Indians were one of the first to bring about the concept of zero. And I'm talking of even mathematically, the concept of shunya or zero, as we call it, like zero is shunya. But it also has philosophy and the whole sort of, etymology of shunya or zero is mapped to the Vedic philosophy of complete darkness, where there was nothing before the universe came about. And it activates the process of, so this particular shunya or complete darkness or nothingness really activates the creation, sustenance, and the universe. And once the universe is created, subsequently it is destroyed. We call our existence on our earthly plane, it's called the Mrityu Loka, that is the death, because this is the only place where we will die. We are guaranteed to die. Once we are born, we are going to die. So in a way, there is that in itself has a sort of like a limited time, or a shelf life, as you can say. And so all of this is encapsulated in the symbolism of Om, because it is one of the, no doubt, one of the primordial sounds. And from that, or the creation exists, or rather gets created, and the sustenance. And it is said that the Bindu fell through the sky. Now, it is not, it's not sort of like Bindu is the circle of Om. If you can see here, it is that circular, it's this circle. This is called the Nad Bindu, okay? So this whole thing, it fell from the sky, but it is not, it's much more philosophical rather than, oh, something is physically falling from the sky, because the creation process is a complex one. And it is the sky as a smoky hashed hue, dhumra varna, and the gunas, which is the essential attributes which we all are born with. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas are the building blocks, our essential attributes that all human beings are made of. All the zodiac signs, everything exists within the Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. For those of you who are not familiar with Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, I will just explain very quickly. Basically, Sattva, the attribute or the quality of creation, when we refer to as Sattva Guna, is basically everything where everything is in harmony. There's no discord, there's no problems, everything is perfect, harmonious. So you can even say that when we are meditating or when we are in that space of mindfulness, then we are in that space of Sattva Guna, okay? This is a very fundamental, it's as primordial as all the sounds that I will discuss, because these elements, these essential attributes are interact with all the 5 fundamental elements to make our body. So our body is not just about the mud, because if human beings were just made of 4 elements, then we would be similar to the cats or dogs, or we whom all we love so much. But there is one distinctive factor which is important and which is crucial in differentiating between the entire animal and the plant kingdom and the human kingdom, and that is consciousness, and that is the sattva guna. So this is where the sattva guna comes from. Sattva guna has to have like a kind of like a divinity within it, because there is perfect harmony. Okay. And we do reach it sometimes. Like I said, every time we do an act of kindness or an act of some kind of like, inspiration, where we are beautifully and perfectly balanced, is nothing but we are in that attribute of sattva guna. Similarly, rajas guna is a step down, but rajas guna means where we are constantly seeking something. We are seeking knowledge, we are seeking this, we are seeking astrology classes, we are seeking a whole gamut of things, and that in itself can create a lot of disharmony, or can it create like a kind of pendulum effect where we are swinging, and we are there's a sense of confusion when we don't get enough. There's an ichha, there is a desire to make something of that knowledge, to get something, so that ichha or desire is motivated also by the rajas guna, because the more we learn, then we can teach more, we can do more stuff, consequently we get rewarded much more, whether in terms of all kinds of rewards. And then finally, the tamas guna. Tamas is where we are at our lowest level in terms of, and I don't want to make it sound derogatory, because it's not derogatory. We need the tamas. Think about this scenario. You're having a big fat pizza, okay? Oh my God. And having a glass of wine or glass of whatever fizz thing you like. And you're plonked in front of the telly over your favorite box set. That is a perfect manifestation of the tamas guna, okay? Because you're absolutely you're not trying to do something or reach for something. You are just being, but that being is like you're fallen into the space of your own body needs, which is like food and drink and so on and so forth. And so that is a tamas guna. And often the tamas guna, if you stay in that state for too long, then you will have obesity, you will have mental health issues, you will have whole host of issues. So it is okay to do it like once in a while, but if you're constantly doing that morning, afternoon, and evening, then I think we have a problem. And that is the fundamental building blocks attributes for human beings, because anytime any of these gunas are out of sync or out of balance, then we have a big problem. Okay, too much rajas, we are going to be forever working, we become workaholics, nothing comes of it. We may have whole host of health issues. Constant tamas means what will, it's the evil will set in, we will be envious of other people, yet we will be inactive ourselves. So there is a problem with that. Sattva, if we are constantly in the sattva guna, it's impossible. It's like, think of even the best of the monks or the yogis, in India, if anyone's been, it is very difficult, because at some point, even the greatest of the yogis, okay, because they have manifested in this body, they will still have to consume some amount of water or air or food, or just air, just to extract the minerals from it in order to sustain their body. So in a way, all of us are combination of all of this. So you can't say that one is better or the other. It is just a question of degrees and variation. Anyway, so then we have this whole creation process of Aum. So this is a beautiful sort of Om chanting, and Om can be a little bit difficult, but just doing the Aum can itself constellate and be closer to the Om chant. Okay, so this is the A sound, the sound is mapped to the creation, the U is all about sustaining it, and the M sound is about destruction. Okay, and Brahma is supposed to be the inspiration. Of course, he's the creator. So now we have the creation is Brahma and the Prajapatis. Sustenance is all about who is maintaining it. That's Vishnu energy. And the destruction energy is Shiva energy, Rudra energy, or a particular form of Lord Shiva. Okay, so these are the devtas of the pranayama. If anyone hasn't heard of the term pranayama, I would strongly get you to Google it. Find yourself a very good pranayama teacher, because sound is everything. Lung power and breathing in and breathing out and how we breathe in is all of that comes under the umbrella of pranayama. And pranayama is nothing but it's a breaking up of two words, Sanskrit words, prana and yama. So yama in Sanskrit means the god of death, and prana means breath. Okay, but breath is not just taking like like breathing, but prana also is a little bit more refined. It's almost like you're taking the breath in and it's going in, and what it does to your body and where that air is manifesting by once it's entering into the body and then exhalation, and that whole process is prana. Okay, so the whole thing basically that becomes the most important. So if you consider in Vedic astrology, we have everything like the pranayama, like I said, if you break up the word, this is the god of death, and prana is all about life in terms of breath. And so we are now in the territory of the moon and Saturn. So you see how one of the fastest moving luminaries, right? The moon, and one of the slowest moving outer planet, Saturn, they both control the prana. Isn't that interesting? That the moon, because without the moon, without our breath, we will not be able to survive. And the same holds true for Saturn. Without the Saturn, as we will see later, Saturn is the tattva or the element of air. Okay, and the sounds of Saturn we will see as we go along. So essentially, when we do longevity and a whole host of things like that, we always look at the combination of moon and Saturn. And for what? To ward of Yama. Yama is a god of death. So hence pranayama, when you join up the words together, literally means you are doing the pranam. You are basically in your body, in your breath, and being aware of the breath. So sometimes you don't need to do a huge amount of stuff. Just focusing on your breath will bring you back into your own being, which is one of the most important things. Anyway, moving forward, um, so now this is coming from the Dhyana Bindu Upanishads. We have like so many Upanishads, like 108 Upanishads. They all have some deep philosophy and some great insight and wisdom to be shared. So this, even if the sin should accumulate to a mountain extending over many distances, it is destroyed by dhyana yoga. Dhyana means literally, it means concentration and focus. And all we need to do is focus on our breath. And that is why I explained the importance of pranayama. The moon Saturn energy needs to be kept, like, absolutely on the money in terms of our awareness of ourselves. Because once we have the breath, because all sound, everything is a play of breathing. Some people talk fast. Often you must have said, when we really get angry, it's not just about the shouting. Our breath will change. It will go faster. It's horrible. I don't know if anyone, but I can really kind of have a bit of a temper, and I can really, like, I can feel my breath. And that is the time when that is the whole ethos of managing oneself. The Dhyan Yoga is basically focusing, dropping into your own self. And that is the importance of the Bija Akshara. Bija Akshara means the seed letter, like Om is a Bija Akshara, okay? Similarly, so is Reem, okay? Reem sound is also a Bija Akshara. So there are many, many Bija Aksharas, and some of them belong to some of the deities. So for example, we had Ganesh Chaturthi, the birthday of Ganesh. So the Ganesh's Bija is Ga Bija, Gum, okay? So Gum Bija is nothing but the seed letter and is the supreme Bindu. So it is one of the great Bindu is this, the top, the dot on top, and Nada is a spiritual sound above it. So this whole thing is the Nada Bindu, okay? So this is a very, very spiritual sound. You can have different seed letters, but they all will invoke this particular aspect of the sound Om, okay? Okay, let's move forward. And it is said about the Om, just as oil depends for its manifestation about the gingerly seeds, that is nothing but the sesame oil, sesame seeds, the odor upon a flower, so does a Purusha depend for its existence upon the body, both external and internal. And tree with its parts is shadow without parts, and without parts, the Atman exists everywhere. So essentially, the idea of shunya or shunyata, which we I'm referring to earlier, is the Atman. So he exists everywhere. Okay, this your soul, rough translation of Atman is your soul. Okay, and he is existing. So this is the crucial factor delineating our four elements theory, like from the dog, cat, and all. They are made up of elements too, and certain, those same four elements. But the crucial factor which differentiates them with us is we have a spiritual purpose. We have an Atman. We have an Atma. Atma is, it's nothing but the soul. Rough translation is the soul. We have an existing soul within us. It is said our soul is somewhere near Anahata Chakra. Anahata Chakra is Rit Chakra, somewhere near the heart chakra, and it is behind it. So the rib cage, it is installed. It's kind of like in it. One can say it is installed there because the installation process is like when you are born, that soul or Atman exists over there. It has seen many, many, many births. Thousands of, it is said of Brahma, who's the creator, that in a blink of an eye, some millions of births went past through Brahma's time. This is the power of that we have walked on this planet before, when we will walk again, unless and until we don't want to walk it, because we will come to a point where we want the knowledge of our deep self, our soul. Why are we here and doing the same old thing? How many times have we learned astrology? How many lifetimes have we spent on that? You know, many, many lifetimes, yet we are back to square one. So you could think about it like from this point of view, because that is the Vedic view. I'm simply a conduit for presenting the Vedic view here. Okay. So the one Akshara Om should be contemplated upon as Brahman. Brahman is nothing but another name for Atman and all those who aspire for emancipation. Okay. Not the emancipation. Maybe it is that song of who I forget the famous singer, Emancipate. Anyway, I can't, I am a miserable singer, so I'm not going to go into that. Okay. So so the main thing is everything, the why are we doing all this? Why are we worrying so much about pranayama and all of that? It is because of the Atman, because we want to know more about ourselves, and the sounds will help us to reach us there. Okay. Okay. Um, so now Shakti Chaitanya, Shakti Chaitanya Rupa. So now we are not just manifest, we figured we have come out from like a shunya or a zero, but then how did we manifest? Because Shiva or Purusha, that is another name for Brahman as well, or our Atman, all of these are synonyms of Shiva, Purush, or Atman. Okay. Now he needs or she needs, there has to be the Shakti. Shakti is the Chaitanya. Shakti is the consciousness. We can also say Shakti is the Gayatri. One of the oldest prayers on the planet is the Gayatri mantra, which is never ever to be sung like a song in public. That is a cardinal rule and a blunder people make, that they are singing with loudspeakers blaring and all that. It is not. It is a very tantric, very high level mantra, and it is for benefit of everybody. Okay, so they have to be able, and so something which is benefit individually for everyone, why would you want to broadcast it everywhere? So the Gayatri is synonymous to the Shakti, which is the Chaitanya Rupa. Chaitanya Rupa meaning the all-pervading, eternal, blissful. So when Shiva manifests, you know, remember we came from this zero, and everything comes from you know, shunya, so complete darkness. So in order for it to manifest, we need the power of the Shakti. So she's also the one who dances in the hearts of the sages or the rishis. She's the root of all living beings, resplendent like a electric spark, and like a kanchi covers the entire universe. So she is the Kundalini Shakti. Everybody has heard of the Kundalini yoga, Kundalini this, Kundalini that, but she is the Kundalini is real, but it is dormant in most people. Okay. So it's like for anything to manifest, it's like a the coil, they have to have some connection with the larger universe, okay, or the entire multiverses, in order for anything to manifest in our lives. And that Atman or whatever, you know, as which is lying in our behind our rib cage, that can only be kind of understood within us through the rise of the Kundalini Shakti, because this Shakti will help us. It's like a link for us. It's like a thread that we have to pull sometimes in order for us to know more about ourselves, and it's our link to the entire Brahman, which is the entire cosmos. So don't think that the Kundalini it's like a one-off thing, like, oh, you know, it's like a serpent. Yes, it is a serpent like coiled energy. It is. but it is of huge significance because it carries the knowledge from Shiva. It carries your Atma, knowledge about your self, which maps and links straight to the universe. So think about it like a plugging in point, like you have these little links behind your head, and maybe there's like a switch. There's needs to be a cord that needs to be just put in, some sci-fi films and all that you get, and suddenly you're plugged in and charged. So that is the power of the Kundalini Shakti, because then immediately you are in tune, or the cosmos. Okay, so some of it we may skip. I just want to just give a slight overview about the creation theory. So the Brahma is too huge. He's not going to sit there manufacturing the entire human beings. Okay, so what he did was he entrusted himself to part of himself to Prajapatis. Prajapatis taught Manu. Manu is like, you could say, the first man or the first Adam. It's the equivalent of that. Okay. So he manifested as Manu, and he was one of the first human beings. And there is a huge monumental text called the Manu Smriti. Manu Smriti carries all the teachings of Prajapati, of our behavior, how we should be, and all the knowledge it has to live fabulously and phenomenally and in a perfect way. And so he continues to study the scriptures and so on and so forth. And after death, after he has found himself through his Atman, he goes to Brahmaloka, and he's not born again, and he's not born again. So there is this universal obsession, I would say, because and I would not say it's an obsession, I would say it is the fundamental premise for the whole of the country. Okay, and I'm not talking of modern India here. I am talking of all the Vedic scriptures, whether you do Vedic astrology, which is nothing but Jyotisha. Jyotisha is one of the limbs of the Vedas. So all of this rests on the fact that we are here many, many lifetimes, and we are here to burn off a lot of the sins and go through a lot of the karmas. But in the process, we also have to reach the Brahman, that is the Atman within us, the Shiva within us, in order for us to be plugged into the wonder of the cosmos. And once we have achieved that, and that is for everybody to achieve. It is not like, oh, you're not born in this country. It's just that if you're born on the soil, on the Bharat Varsh, we call it, which is nothing but India, then it just makes it a little bit easier because we understand the concepts pretty much. It's like, it's in the milk of the mother, it's there. Okay. So, but that doesn't mean that it is not for everyone. It certainly is. Okay. And then we cannot be born again. And he goes straight to Brahmaloka or Satyaloka, which is another world, 7 worlds above our earthly plane of existence. Okay, so now the 6 Vedangas. I don't want to go delve too much into all of this. So I'm going to skip all of that. So the 6 Vedangas are nothing but the limbs of the Veda Purush. One of the Vedangas is Jyotisha. Okay, Jyotisha Vedanga is to understand the Vedas better, and that is astronomy and astrology. That's where we come in. Now, another limb of the Vedas is Chandas. What is Chanda? Which is nothing but the rhythm, the meter rhythm. When we talk of the rhythm, we are talking about sound. So sound forms a very fundamental portion of the Vedangas. Vedangas is only 6 of them in number, and they help us to understand the Vedas and the Vedic knowledge much better. Okay, so all of those 6, the sound which comes in the form of the chandas or the meters or the rhyme, is one of the fundamental building blocks. Hence the importance of sound, because let's face it, without sound we would not have anything. Okay, and now Similarly, the Gayatri Chanda is the great Gayatri mantra is in the chanda or the meter or a rhythm of Gayatri. It is itself called Gayatri, which is one of the 7 horses of Surya. Okay. So the chandas, which is nothing but the 24, okay, which maps to 24 syllables, the Gayatri mantra. But the Gayatri is also one of the horses. The chandas, there are 7 chandas, okay? 7 primary chandas or the meters. And one of them is a Gayatri, where we talked about the oldest prayer on the planet, the Gayatri mantra, which is 24 syllables. But what is the significance of this number 7? That is, there are 7 core horse, 7 core meters or chandas, we call it. And that is nothing but mapping to the Surya, okay, the sun, the 7 horses of the sun, 7 weekdays. I've written a paper on this weekdays thing. If anyone is, this is pretty relevant. Supposing you're born on a weekday of Monday, moon becomes your big factor. You want to appease the moon. If you're born on a Friday, you come in built with certain amount of karma or positivity, because Venus is your main deity for that. Okay, then we map to them, but that's a long paper. There's also if anybody is interested, they can get a hold of me. So this 7 weekdays is also mapping to sun, okay, Surya. And so whatever the basically the main ethos behind it is that through the chandas, through the Gayatri, through the sound, through the Om, we are able to get rid of if a man recites 10 crore times, he becomes a realized soul and attains moksha. Okay, this is from the Devi Bhagavad Puran. So like I said, the whole ethos is emancipation, nirvana. Okay, so moving forward, the birth of the letters. Now there is a huge story that Shiva's first wife, okay, her name was Sati. Okay, now the birth of the Sanskritam, okay, the alphabets, is absolutely a phenomenal story. And it is, you will understand why every sound carries so much impact. Now, let's move forward. King Daksha. So you can see here Sati, the wife of Lord Shiva. She was, her father was King Daksha. King Daksha was one of the Prajapatis. Remember the Prajapatis? I mentioned that Prajapatis were one of the entrusted delegate. He was principal delegation for populating the planet Earth. Why? Because Brahma is the creator. It's his job. If Brahma is a creator, that's his job. So he will create. So, but he has to entrust it to someone else. And so King Daksha, in his kingdom, his daughter was Sati, and she married Lord Shiva. But Daksha did not like Lord Shiva. Why? Look at Lord Shiva. He has moon on his head. He has a trishul. He wears leopard skin. He has zero money, zero finances, no bank, nothing. He has like zero. What does he do? He meditates on Kailasha, the greatest, like it's freezing cold. It's between Tibet and I think somewhere up in the Himalayas, between Tibet and China and the border of India. Okay, they're the highest and the mountain ranges on the planet. So he meditates there. No one has seen it. No, you cannot even go there. Okay, if you go there, it's like wilderness. Only the sages want the knowledge from Lord Shiva, so they are there. They exist in spirit. So that is what he does. His vehicle is the bull, the Nandi, that is the bull. So essentially, he is sort of like, you could say, most of the time he spends with his sages, imparting knowledge and so on and so forth. So it's, let's face it, it's not exactly an exciting fun. Like Vishnu is much more fun because his consort is goddess Lakshmi, and she is like, wow, they are laden with jewels. Vishnu's got the discus and he is all powerful. He has beautiful silk clothing. So does Mahalakshmi. She is gorgeous. And so Sati, so King Daksha did not want him to marry Lord Shiva, but she did. So then he did something very sly. He organized a yagya. Yagya is a fire ceremony. And so all stood at, and he invited all the Brahmins, all the sages, and everything. So all of them stood at Daksha's entrance except Sati, that is his own daughter. So she was feeling really left out, and she's like, please, we need to go. So she told Shiva, we should go. There's no way. My father's having such a huge ceremony, and it'll be everywhere. There's like a followed by a big homam, and a big homam is like a fire thing, chanting. And then after that, there is a mahabhog. Mahabhog is like offerings, beautiful chappan bhog, or maybe even 120 bhogs. They offer all the beautiful food items and all that. It's like a one massive party, okay? After the fire ceremony. And she's like, how can he not invite me? You've got to come. You're his brother in sorry, so you're his son-in-law, so you've got to come. So Shiva was really reluctant because he can't be bothered. That means he has to come down, get Nandi to move and all that. And so, and Daksha, of course, was openly critical about Lord Shiva for all the reasons I mentioned. Okay. So, so then she went, but she was insulted. And because she was came to tears, she could not bear the insults hurled upon her. She was not really given a kind of like a place within the homam and so on and so forth. So she was really sad, and she was angry and sad and all that. So what did she do? She jumps into the fire because she could not tolerate the fact that her husband was not invited and there was no sign of invitation. And Shiva heard it, heard the little bit like what's going on. Of course, it's Shiva. He has powers. He knows what is going on. If his wife is jumping into the fire, he will know in a heartbeat. And so he was absolutely livid. He got all his ganas. He's got like all the souls, all the wicked souls, all kinds of souls over around him, all kinds of ghostly spirits over around him. So all kind of Bringi and all of them were all his little mates. He sent all the entire mates, and they came and destroyed this whole thing. But in the process, Sati had already killed herself by, she was burnt. And
Sonal, I'm
so,
just going to let you know you have 40 minutes left.
okay, lovely. So
Okay.
she was completely shattered. And so she just literally gave up herself. And because she was shattered, Shiva went, the whole of the universe, multi galaxies went into depression. Nobody, there was sun refused to come out. Everybody, because Shiva was like, he went into a huge depression. He could not be pulled out of that depression, which is in a really moving love story, actually. So Vishnu, so all the planets went to Vishnu and said, please, can you help us save this? This is getting out of hand. So then then Vishnu brought out his discus and literally cut the dead body of Sati in several parts. And wherever it landed, okay, there you can see the forlorn Shiva. And wherever it landed, they became in all around, they call the Shakti Pithas. Okay, there are 52 to 54 in number to match the Sanskrit alphabetical scheme. And each of them represents, each body part represents a particular Shakti, and a particular, the dismembered part of body of part of Sati represents a letter. And so that is the whole Shakti Pita. Shakti Pitas are very powerful tantric centers. Lot of people meditate, they do sadhana in order to connect with the deity of a particular Shakti Peeth. And the four main Shakti Peeths, which maps to the four main, the triplicities, the elemental triplicities are here. The Kamakhya temple, where the yoni, the genital, the yoni, if you people say that it's by the river, and it's all the blood. Once a year, there is, the whole water turns red. Nobody knows, okay? Nobody's sitting there pouring color in. Just one day a year, people are going to pour color in. Don't think so. And this has been going on for ages. There are many, many tantric wonders there in Kamakhya. Kamakhya is a huge one in Assam, where the genitals fell. Vimla temple, where the feet fell. Kali Ghat Kali, where the toes of the right foot fell, and the Tara Tarini in Odisha. So these are all the different Shakti Pitas, but they map. So Kamakhya maps to all the air signs. So if you apply a sun in 3rd house, 7th house, or 11th, it will map there. If you have, let's say, Kali is like 1st house, sun in the 1st house, sun in the 5th house, sun in the 9th house, it maps there, okay? So on. There's something more at the end of it. We can go through that. So I may skip some of these parts, but basically you got the idea. We already did the Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, so we don't need to know all of that. So let me come to the chakras, and we tuck into the, so essentially one thing I have to mention, all the sounds, all the touch, the sense of touch, the sense of shape, the taste and the odor are mapping into the rasendriyas or the shravanendriya, the sparshendriya, so the tactile, and they all map to a specific element. So the sound element is associated with the Akash Tattva. Akash is nothing but the divine element, the ether element, okay? Which is the main planet is Jupiter. And the touch is Vayu, that is the sense of the air, okay? The shape or the form, that is a manifested form, which is maps to the visual senses, is fire element. The taste element is the water element. The taste side is the water element, and the smell, is nothing but the earth element. So these are the primordial, and this is from Charak Samhita, one of the oldest Ayurvedic texts. Okay, so these are the various lokas. So all of these have sounds. We are all familiar with the chakra sounds, okay? So there are the 7 states above us and 7 below us. So each of these have a particular sound associated with it, okay? Now, let's see the classification of the sounds. The first sounds to manifest is the Vishuddhi chakra. Vishuddhi chakra, that is, it comes from this particular, this is the Vishuddhi chakra, which maps to the Janar Loka. See, these are the different lokas, okay? Now, the Bhuloka is the Mooladhara. Now, let me just, I don't want to go too much into the lokas. Lokas are the different worlds. They are not just the chakras, because each of these chakras are mapping into a certain world. So Bhuloka is nothing but our earthly existence, which is the Mooladhara. Moola in Sanskrit means the root. Okay, so where our private paths reside, where we eliminate our systems, is maps to the earth. So our earthly existence, one of the big things is all the negative tamas side. Remember the tamas, the attribute of the Bhuloka and the Swadhisthana is a tamasic. That is, they invoke within us sort of animal-like, inactive sort of attributes. So these are the two worlds which we are, our earthly plane exists. Then often they say, oh, the person's gone to heavens. That is nothing but where the nakshatras reside, where the swarga is, which is our above the Swadhisthana, which is our near our heart chakra. Then we have the Maharloka, which is the Anahata, which is just above the heart. Sorry, this is just the navel Manipura. Then above that, the Anahata, which is nothing but the solar plexus or near the our heart chakra. And then we have the Janarloka, the Vishuddhi, and of course the Satyaloka, which is our right on top. Okay. But then we have moksha. If you are able to access this, then you can access everything of the universe. And that is, and the energy flow is always like this, like back and forth, back and forth. Okay. Anyway, so moving to, so the first sounds were all the vowel sounds. Okay. So e, u, r, l, e, o, okay, and then you have the long ones. We won't go too much into that, but these are all the sounds of the sun. Okay, so these are all absolutely, and each of these, there are 12 of these. So sorry, oops, because they are the long ones. So the same sound becomes longer. So 6 of them and 6 of the longer ones, and they all become mapped to the 12 signs. Okay. There's a very, it's like a vast swar yoga, and swar shastra is nothing but the study of sounds, and it is a huge subject. Okay. So there are many things, many cool things you can do. Like, let's say if you have your name is, let's say, Pascal. So per sound, and so wherever your sun is, let's say your sun is in, let's say it's in the first house. So you can just add the am sound to it, the sound. So pam, pam, pam will invoke your sun in the first house. I'm just assuming it's in the first. I don't know. Okay. Okay. Let's move further to the actual. Okay. So now the basis of the rest of the sounds are, of course, the lunar mansions or the lunar nakshatras, all the derivation, anyone who's born anywhere, they always will resonate, whether your name begins with this sound or not, it doesn't matter. All you have to do is take the name of your moon sign nakshatra and what portion it falls in. Okay. So for example, my moon is in Punarvasu and it's in the third pada. Okay. It's very simple. It's in the third pada, which is what? Hum. So for me, if I just chant hum, 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 this will help me to connect with my moon. And it's like a whole spiritual energy will develop. It will strengthen my moon. So anything. So for example, if transiting Saturn is going through these particular degrees of pada 6, of Punarvasu, which falls in the last degrees of Gemini. I think it is 26 to 29 degrees of Gemini. Okay. Yeah, I think it is those degrees. And if Saturn is transiting over here, this is a kind of like a help me to overcome the negativity of it, because Saturn on the moon is ouch. It's a tough one. The Vedics believe, we are in Jyotish, we say it's not the Saturn return, it is a Saturn on the moon, which is the real return. Okay. That's what we believe in. Okay. Anyway, so you got that as an example. So now I have a chart for you for each of the signs encapsulated. We will come back to the each of these Venus sounds and all of that, but I want to just go in with the sound. So for example, Aries sound is and l, okay? So anyone who's got a name like, let's say, anyone with the name let's say Albert, okay? Albert or Anthony, okay? They will have an influence of Aries on theirs. This is the first sign. This is Aries. I'm putting numbers here. I can put this. So, and the L sound, let's say Lambert, okay? So Lambert will also come under Aries sound, okay? There must be something very, very active. Aries sign will be active. Now, let's say you don't have Aries rising, your moon is not in Aries, your sun is not in Aries, that is okay. But like I said, if Rahu and Ketu, transiting Rahu and Ketu, the nodes of the moon, or transiting Saturn comes into Aries, okay? Then I'm talking of sidereal Aries here. Then rest assured, 2.5 years, if your name begins with Lambert, like L sound, then you will feel the effects as if Saturn is in Aries, it is giving you some hardships and so on. So this is a little gem that I'm sharing. This is very potent. This is not, you won't find this everywhere, but it is absolutely, it works. But don't take my word for it. Do try it, okay? What happened and so on and so forth. Similarly, the sound for Taurus is A, O, U, E, V, okay? Va. So anything starting with, let's say, Vimla, or your name is Vinit or something else, there's so many sounds, or Ishin or something like that. All that will be, you'll be under this influence of Taurus, okay? Similarly, Ka, Cha, Gha, okay? Ka, Cha, Gha. So I don't know, Cha is a very difficult sound. I don't know how many English names or Western names would be with cha. Even with gha, it's very difficult. In India, there are loads, but I can't say. But ka is easy, like Kamala Harris. Yeah, Kamala, ka. It's in Gemini. Okay, everyone knows that. Okay. Similarly, da, that falls in the sign of Cancer, and her sound falls in the sign of Cancer. So make a note of that. Just take a screenshot. There is another, 1 minute. There is another representation here. This is called the Surya Chakra chart. This may be easier for all of you, because it also goes like this. But it may be a slightly, I think, maybe easier because it's marked here. So Cancer is da or her. Donald, Donald Trump, he falls in the sign of Cancer, okay? But he's known mostly as Trump. So we will have to look at the other sound which is coming later. So Donald Trump would come in the sign of Cancer. Similarly, Leo is M sound and T sound, okay? So T, again, you will have to kind of figure out some of those. I've given the Sanskrit here as well as but it is not the T sound, not like Tammy, but like Tammy. So Tammy will be under Leo. Megan will be under Leo, okay? Megan, definitely a Leo sound. Beautiful, very, very beautiful sound, okay? Similarly, pa, na, and tha. Now, these are all tricky sounds. They all will come under Virgo. Pa, na, and tha, okay? They come in Virgo. Libra will have r and ta. So, ta is different to ta. So, like Sri Ram, okay, the great Ramayana, the main protagonist Ram. In fact, we do the japa, a japa of Ram. It is supposed to be one of the most, after the Om sound, just chanting the name Ram will clear a lot of problems in your life. Just try it. Don't, like I said, don't take my word for it. You are all here, you know, the chosen few to listen to this. So just, you have nothing to lose other than to try it out. Okay. Half an hour? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say about I have 23 minutes is
Okay.
what I have.
So let's speed it up. So we got that. So Ram sound, R sound will be in Libra. So Scorpio is Y and N. So N meaning Naomi or Nancy. Y would be yacht, but nobody is called a yacht. So I don't know. I'm not very imaginative with names. You'll have to figure it out with Y. Then comes Sagittarius, which is Sagittarius has quite a few sounds. Somehow the dual Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces seem to have a lot of dual sound, a lot of sounds associated. Sagittarius is b, the, and f. Now the p sound is like a fruit, you know, but in Sanskrit they say it more like phenoms, like phenoms. So don't get confused. It's first sound, the sound, and then b sound. Bob would be Sagittarius. Bornvita, the great brand Bornvita. I grew up on Bornvita, but now it's like a disastrous. Sugar levels are sky high in that Bornvita. B sound, but that interesting. It's in Sagittarius. So often we can do this. Okay, look for a company's chart and see if how much that company has survived for how long. Almost always, if the company has survived for a very long time, then the sounds will be very beautifully placed. Maybe they have a Sagittarius there, or the south node of the moon there, a Ketu there in Sagittarius, which is in exalted. That means that company will do very well, guys, you know, absolutely well. Then we have Capricorn, which is J sound, G and K. K is a beautiful sound. K is the bija for the sun. Come, come, come. You know, just alone will strengthen your sun. It is also the 10th house. So very one of the highest houses, Capricorn. So J sound, G. G is I can't think of Western names. So right now my brain's not working. So Aquarius is which is the Sir sound. So Sean or Seema or you know, Cindy, all of these sounds will come under Aquarius. Okay. And Pisces, of course, is the sound. The is different to the, which is David, Donald. All of that is Cancer, but that is distinctly different to the sound. The would be, even though it's the D written here, but this is a different sound to the. Okay. The sound, I don't know. You'll have, guys will have to help me out with the sound later. Ch sound, near sound, and th sound. So all of these sounds are associated with Pisces. Now, let's see some examples, and then we'll take some questions. Okay. Now, YSL. Okay. Everybody knows this brand, I'm sure. Okay. But they are the same. Saint Laurent is YSL, Yves Saint Laurent. Okay. Now, I had to look up the exact pronunciation of that sound, Yves, because usually I would go with my Sanskrit thing. I would say Yves, but it's not Yves, it's French. You know, French are more obsessed with their pronunciation than the language itself. Okay. So, sorry, pardon my French. So here it is pronounced as, the E sound is pronounced as E. So it's Yves Saint Laurent, okay? So falls in the sign of Taurus. So we are talking of the Y sound here. The very first sound, it falls in the sign of Taurus. So now let's look at his chart. Very powerful. But it was changed to Sir sound, which falls in Aquarius. So now what happened? What was the big shift? Guys, of course there's going to be a shift. If you're going to change names, it better be a powerful one, okay? Because if you're going into the trouble of changing all of that, then it pays you to get someone to at least select a proper letter, okay? So the YSL sounds full name of the man who founded this brand. And it was a top of the line luxury brand. So people who were close to him called him genius. He was like the wonder of fashion icon and so on and so forth. But the rebranding, when it became Saint Laurent, that is Saint Laurent, Sir sound it became, it changed, the image completely changed. Did they really consciously do rebranding? Probably, okay, probably. But it's interesting that they wanted to change the name, and they did the rebranding to go more with the Aquarius sound. Aquarius is what? Innovative. It's got a little bit of a Uranian energy. It's got a Saturn energy, you know? So it's like all kinds of people were able to connect to that brand. You know, now if we look at his chart here, guess what? Saturn is rising. His chart for Saint Laurent or YSL, he was, that was his chart. So he, this is YSL, by the way. This is his chart, okay? We are not talking of Hedy. I'll come to the Hedy in a bit, okay? So his chart, this rising sign is Aquarius. Taurus is his fourth house. In Aquarius, on his ascendant, he has got Saturn, retrograde Saturn, very powerful, okay? And if you see, the moon is in, it's his Atma Karaka, that is, it is a king of his chart, and it is with Rahu, a debilitated Rahu. It's in the 11th house. So the Lord of the fourth house, and where is Venus? It is in the sign of Cancer. Oh my God. It is with Mercury. It is with the sun. It is with Mars. So it is with a whole pantheon of planets. So immediately we know that one Lord Moon is his soul planet. So we know that the sign Yves Saint Laurent will make him feel very happy, this brand, because it's the fourth house. It's where we love ourselves. We are happy. People who meet us in the fourth house, we feel very happy with them, okay? So the one Lord has gone in his house of work. It is with the sun, fantastic. And the other one is his soul planet, the moon. It's in Sagittarius. So this is superb. So then he would feel happy, okay? Because it's the fourth house. Then what happens next? What about the transformation? Who made the transformation? A guy called Hedy Slimane, who was named creative director in the brand in 2012, brought other significant changes with him. For instance, he changed the brand's name from Yves Saint Laurent to Saint Laurent. So, hey, he's now becoming the ascendant. So YSL, forget about, we are not concerned whether he's dead or alive. Right now, we are only looking at his birth chart. And who brought in the transformation? Who brought in the eighth house transformation? Whenever we talk of transformation, it has to be an eighth house activity. Okay? Hedy Slimane brought in. And where does the sound, hey sound come from? ha sound or her sound from the sign Cancer, which is his work, all of that. So in YSL's chart, Hedy will bring about a massive transformation, a life changing, because all of these planets, the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, are in that house of Cancer. And it happened in 2012. We look at 2012, and guess what? He had started his Vimshottari Dasha of Mercury. It works, guys. It is beautiful. So Mercury is in the sign of Cancer, and the advent of Mercury Dasha assured this rebranding. And another thing I want to give you, from the moon, from any planet, take the your Atmakaraka, your king of your chart, your soul planet. From there, if you look at the eighth house, it is Cancer, because the moon is in Sagittarius. It is Cancer. So eighth house is where our karma lies. He had heavy karma. He had to transform. So he called in a transformation agent called Hedy, with the name starting in Cancer. So you see how beautifully and perfectly it works. So look it up in your chart. Who's the king of your chart? How does that resonate with you? How does it resonate with your name, first letter of your name? How does it resonate in your birth chart? Where does it, which sign does it fall in your birth chart? Is it in the fourth house? Is it in the 10th house? 10th house, fantastic. Maybe you have a sun there. Anyway, so now we'll take one, after this example, I will stop and then we will have some questions. Is that okay, JD?
Yep,
Yes.
that's fine.
Okay, lovely. The history of Rolex. We all know about Rolex. We all have dreamt it. Well, some of us have. Okay. And it's inextricably linked to the visionary spirit of Hans Wilsdorf. Okay. If I'm not pronouncing Hans well, then let me know. But it is, as far as to my knowledge, it is Hans. Okay. Swiss, French, or whatever, Hans, I don't know. I think they will say Hans, okay? So then one of the most, everybody is familiar with that brand. It is said that I tried, he was looking for a name, okay? He was looking for a name, Rolex. I tried combining letters of the alphabet in every possible way. This gave me 100 names, but none of them felt quite right. One morning, while riding on the upper deck of a horse-drawn omnibus called Cheapside in the city of London. Cheapside still exists, by the way, guys, here in London. I'm coming from UK, London. So here, you still in the central city of London, you do have a street, Cheapside, you know. A genie whispered Rolex in my ear. And of course, the rest is history, yeah. Let's look at his chart. This is Mr. Hans Wilsdorf, okay? So here, his Scorpio rises. The timing may be a little bit off, but it doesn't matter. We will work with the moon. We have another Sagittarius rising. So here, Sagittarius and, Sagittarius is not rising, but Sagittarius is where the moon is, because we have to see from 3-4 places. We see from the moon, we see from the rising sign, and we see the house from the sun, and how it will impact all of these placements. Okay, so the sound Rolex is in Libra. Okay, R sound, remember what I said? The R sound Rolex is in Libra. Okay, it's in Libra. From Libra, the moon is in Sagittarius. Libra is the 11th house. Superb. Are you going to make money? 11th house is the house of profits. It's the Naisargika, natural sign of Aquarius. 11th house. Yes, you will be charged and beaten up there. You will be put to something. But moon is with Rahu. See, Rahu is his Atmakaraka. What does that mean, Rahu? Rahu meaning north node of the moon. Rahu is his Atmakaraka. It's the king of his chart. It's with the moon. Fantastic. That means his life is all about that profit. He has made a whopping empire because Rahu rules natural sign of Aquarius, which is the natural 11th house. So the Libra, of course, the Libra is impactful. Why? Because check the sun, sorry, check the other planets, Jupiter, because moon sign Lord, moon is in Sagittarius. The Lord of that is Jupiter. It is with Venus. It is with Saturn in Aries. And it's all opposite Rolex. It's all opposite that Libra. It's all saying, hello, I'm here. Make me money. Make me money. That name is dying to make money for him. Okay? So, but Rolex, what was the big success of Rolex? The Oyster in 1926. Okay? So, I won't go too much into the dashas now because I want to take some introduce a concept. But one thing you have to also realize is the sun, from the sun, the sound, R sound is in Libra. So the Libra is in the 8th house from the sun. Now, whenever there is an 8th house resonances, you won't get everything, the sound perfectly entrines in angular to your sun and moon and ascendant and your name is perfect. You won't, guys, it's impossible. Okay. But whenever the 8th house from the sun is constellated or any brand is there, it will grow. You may say, well, Sonal, is the 8th house, it's about transformation. Yes, it's about transformation. He transformed the whole brand. He transformed the entire watchmaking industry. He transformed luxury. He was a pioneer luxury brand seller in watches. That's how he transformed. 8 from the sun has that impact. Okay? Everybody getting this, yeah? Any questions so far?
I haven't seen any come in. No.
Okay, everyone's like wondering. Okay. But this is his chart. And so if we look at 1926, okay, that's not, let me just, yeah, here. So another interesting thing is, this is a company chart, Rolex. It was registered at, I can't pronounce this, Champs de Fonds, Switzerland on 2nd July 1908, 8 a.m. Exalted Jupiter and moon on Cancer rising. Look at the, if you say that why is Rolex so well known and so much profit, look at this, guys. Look at this. Exalted Jupiter, Cancer rising, moon in its own sign. That is the company chart. Fantastic. And look, okay, you can say debilitated Mars, but that debilitated Mars gets all the work done. Okay. It's the Lord of his 10th house on the of the chart house, rather house of the chart of Rolex. It's in the ascendant. He will be he or rather the brand will be well known worldwide. Absolutely, there is no doubt about that. And it will be perfect. It will be like standards and quality. And look at that. Look at the sun in Gemini, Rahu exalted in Gemini, Mercury in Gemini retrograde, and Venus in Gemini retrograde. Absolutely superb, superb. So all of this, albeit it's in the 12th house, but it is a phenomenal one. And what is the Rolex? Where is the sound coming in Rolex? Here in Libra, 4th house. See, again, another 4th house makes them feel happy. Anyone who wears a Rolex, will feel super happy. That is their impact. Okay. And of course, it's high luxury because it's Rahu is exalted. Rahu and Venus are with Rahu, and Sun is almost in Gemini, is feels like exalted. And then the company was leading sometime in 1923 to 26. This is all Venus's period, if you see. It all began with the Venus's period. You see, so sometimes things are, the company chart is very, very strong. Very strong. I wonder if he consulted an astrologer.
Seems to work out for Rolex for sure.
Yeah, it did. So anyway, so I won't take up too much of your time. We can do Mark Zuckerberg, or unless somebody has any questions, okay?
What do you think? I will just raise this. What do you think is the most direct, practical beginning application of this for people that are maybe trying to get their head around it? I think the idea that you said, knowing the letter, knowing the sound, using it, and just trying to integrate in your life. When they try to find that sound, how do they look for it?
I think you have to first identify the first sound of your name. And
yeah, which everybody can do. And then they have to find it, right?
Yeah. And what sign it is falling in, okay? Whatever sign it is falling in, okay? Then the next step is get your Vedic chart out, okay? There are lots of free, even astro.com does now sidereal whole sign systems, and, free Vedic chart you can do. And then look at your Vedic chart, okay? See where it is vis-a-vis your rising sign. This is, let's say, the natural sign is like,
so like my name is John. Like that's my first name, John. So that would fall under
where?
Under what you're labeling as the Capricorn, right?
Yes. So it's Capricorn, right?
And so for me in Vedic, that is the 6th house.
Okay. And what's your rising sign in Vedic?
Gemini.
Okay. So you're Gemini. And so the J sound comes where? So from Gemini, if you count, it will be the 8th house, right?
Sorry, the 8th house, yes, not the 6th. I
so
went
the
down.
so John sound will come in the 8th house. That means this lifetime, do you have any planets here?
I have, let's see, what do I have there? Jupiter.
Okay. That's good. What else? But Jupiter is also the dispositor of your moon, because I do know that your moon is here, right? Your moon is in Sagittarius, correct?
Yes.
So your moon is in Sagittarius in the 7th house. The dispositor of the moon is, you have to keep it super healthy. It's your breath. It's every breath you take. Not that song, every breath you take, but every breath you take, you have to have that idea that the moon always needs to be strong. In order for the fundamental principle is the moon, to gain strength for the moon, you have to make the dispositor of the moon always pakka. Pakka meaning it has to be on top of everything, a given priority. Make it nice, make it good. So your moon sign lord is Jupiter. So your name, Jupiter, every time your name is called, that Jupiter is constellated. Everything about the 8th house is constellated. 8th houses, transformations, shared resources, everybody, other people's monies, Jyotish, Vedic astrology, this astrology, that astrology, all things hidden, all things behind the scenes is the 8th house.
Okay, thank you. So then that's something that people can begin to play with the first letter of their first name. Now, I know someone is, go ahead.
Okay, is somebody asking a question?
Well, they are asking, but they're going to take us into a different direction because they're wanting to not just shift to the first name. They're wanting to talk about the
Okay.
nakshatra pada sound.
Okay, okay. Is
So as long
Stella
as it's something that we can answer in the time that we have, because we are coming to the end of the session.
okay, lovely. Okay, that's fine. And Stella, I just want to say one thing, the D sound in Pisces like dove. No, the sound is not in Pisces, is the sound. See, this is a confusion, Stella. The the sound is like Donald, Donald Trump, Donald, okay? Uh, uh, Dove is also Cancer, okay? Dove, Donald, or all Cancer. But the sound, how would we say the sound? Anyone has any idea of the sound?
Hmm.
The, like, oh, the.
No, all the sounds I'm thinking of that have that, I think fall under Cancer. I'm trying to think.
See, like for example, Damodar, you know the name Damodar. It's a traditional Indian name, Damodar, okay? But it's not Damodar, it's Damodar. So that there's a subtle difference in the when you say Donald, you touch the tongue on top of your upper palate. With the sound, it's a softer, you're hitting your tongue across your lower teeth. So it's a softer sound, okay?
Mhm.
So it's Damodar, I can think of Damini, so all of those sounds are the sounds. I hope that clears up.
Yeah, no, it does. I think just giving people something that they can play with, that they can go off and do, I think is a great thing. And you had said that you have some upcoming courses on Panchenga and some other
Yes,
things
yes.
coming.
I will
So,
be doing a course on nakshatras starting in the new year.
mhm.
And so if anyone is interested, they can just enroll. It'll be in New Year. It'll be very nominally priced, and it's the scratch, like bare bones of nakshatras to all of course, we'll do the sounds as well and how they differ from the actual this chakra. Actually, this particular, the signs are actually, all the signs are derived from there.
Mhm.
And I also have beginners fundamental Jyotish courses, recordings, and a whole host of
Can
them.
they
And there's
find
a,
everything at
yeah,
circleofdivineastrology.com? Can
yes,
they
yes,
find?
yes. If
Okay,
you want
so
to
yeah,
learn, and you can get on that. And I just want to end with a Shanti mantra, okay,
please.
a prayer, and then we are done.
Thank you,
So,
Sanal.
okay. Om apyayantu mamangani vak prana chakshushotra madho balamindriyani cha sarvani sarvam ब्रह्मोपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्यां मामा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणम् अस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु माङ्गणी उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति. Okay, if anyone has any questions, they can get in touch on the email, and there is a Telegram group for learning if they want.
Thank you so much, Sanal. It was great to have you involved in this year's conference, and
Yeah,
I hope very much that we can continue to develop some of this together.
yeah.
All right, my dear, we'll speak soon.
Okay, lovely. Thank
Bye
you.
now.
Thank you. Bye.